Have you ever stopped to think about what it actually means to be a human being? Not your name, your job, or the routine you carry out every day, but the raw, undeniable miracle of your existence. You're alive, breathing, thinking, feeling, and experiencing this vast, mysterious world. But what if I told you something that would completely shift the way you see yourself? What if I said that being human is not the end goal, but just the beginning of something far greater, something so immense that most of us never even stop to consider it? Here's a question to start with. Why are you here? Right now, in this moment, in this body, on this planet. Not how you got here, like your parents, your circumstances, or evolution, but why you exist at all. Is it just a random chance? Or is there something deeper, something bigger at play? What if the human experience is just one step in a much larger process, a process that's been unfolding for billions of years and will continue long after we're gone? Let's begin with what we know. Every single one of us is connected to something far greater than ourselves. You are, quite literally, made of stardust. Every atom in your body, the carbon in your cells, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe was forged in the heart of a star billions of years ago. When that star exploded in a supernova, it scattered its elements across the universe, eventually forming planets, life, and you are the universe in human form. Think about that. You're not separate from the cosmos, you are the cosmos experiencing itself. But here's the thing, the universe didn't stop with you. It's still expanding, still evolving, still creating. And so are we. Humanity is not a finished product. We are quite literally a work in progress, and whether we realize it or not, we're part of something much bigger than ourselves. So what is this bigger thing we're a part of? To answer that, let's zoom out for a moment. Life on Earth began around 3.8 billion years ago as simple, single-celled organisms. Over time, those organisms evolved into more complex forms: plants, animals, and eventually humans. But evolution didn't stop with us. It's still happening, right now, in ways we can't always see.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Think about it. Just 1,000 years ago, humans couldn't even dream of flying, connecting with people on the other side of the planet, or exploring space. And yet, here we are today, building rockets to Mars, creating artificial intelligence, and decoding the very fabric of life itself. These aren't just random achievements. They're clues that we're part of an evolutionary process that's far from over. But here's the twist: evolution isn't just about biology anymore. It's about consciousness. It's about ideas, cultures, technologies, and the ways we connect with each other. Every time you learn something new, create something meaningful, or help someone else, you're contributing to this process. You're not just living your life, you're helping to shape the future of humanity. And that brings us to a deeper question: what's the purpose of all this? Why is the universe evolving? Why are we evolving? Is it just some cosmic accident, or is there a deeper meaning behind it all? To answer that, let's go back to the idea that you are the universe experiencing itself. If that's true, then every thought you have, every emotion you feel, every connection you make is a way for the universe to know itself. Your curiosity, your creativity, your struggles, and your triumphs, they're all part of a much larger story. And that story doesn't end with you. You see, being human is a bridge. It's a step, not a destination. Just as single-celled organisms evolved into complex life forms, and just as humanity has evolved from primitive tribes to global civilizations, We are evolving into something greater. But what is that something? Some people call it the next stage of evolution. Others call it enlightenment, transcendence, or even the awakening of collective consciousness. Whatever you choose to call it, the idea is the same. We are not meant to stay the way we are forever. We are meant to grow, to change, to become something more. But here's the catch: evolution isn't automatic. It requires effort. It requires awareness. And most importantly, it requires a shift in the way we see ourselves and each other. Think about this: every great leap in human history has come when people worked together toward a common goal. Whether it was building the pyramids, exploring new continents, or landing on the moon, we achieved these things by recognizing that we're stronger together than we are alone. So what if the next great leap isn't just technological or scientific, but spiritual? What if the future of humanity depends on our ability to see ourselves not as isolated individuals, but as parts of a greater whole? This isn't some abstract, feel-good idea. It's a practical truth. Every action you take, every word you speak, every choice you make ripples outward, affecting the people around you and, by extension, the world. You are, quite literally, shaping the future with every decision you make. So here's the question I want to leave you with: what kind of future do you want to create? Not just for yourself, but for humanity as a whole. What will you do with the incredible gift of being human? Because in the end, the human being is just the beginning of something bigger, something extraordinary, and it starts with you. If being human is just the beginning, then the next question is, what's next? What are we evolving into? The answer lies not in our physical form, but in our consciousness, in the way we think, perceive, and connect with the world around us. Let's start with the simple truth: the human mind is the most powerful tool in the known universe. Think about it: every great invention, every life-changing idea, every masterpiece of art or music began in someone's mind. But here's the kicker: most of us don't even come close to using our minds to their full potential. Why is that? It's because we're trapped in cycles of fear, doubt, distraction, and division. Trapped by the belief that we're separate from each other, from the earth, and from the universe itself. But what if that's not true? What if our minds are capable of so much more? If only we could break free from the limitations we've placed on ourselves. To understand this, let's dive into the concept of consciousness. At its simplest level, consciousness is your awareness, your ability to experience, think, and reflect. But here's the incredible part: consciousness isn't static. It can expand. Right now, most of us experience what's called ego consciousness. This is the part of your mind that sees yourself as a separate individual. It's the voice in your head that says, "I am me, and you are you." And while the ego has its purpose, it helps us survive and navigate the world, it also creates a sense of separation. It makes us feel like we're alone, like we're in competition with everyone else. But what if that's just one level of consciousness? What if there's another level, one where you don't just see yourself as an individual, but as part of a greater whole? This is what some people call expanded consciousness or collective consciousness. It's the realization that you're not just you. You're part of a vast, interconnected web of life, a web that includes not just other people, but every living thing, the earth, and even the universe itself. Think about a single neuron in your brain. On its own, it's just a tiny, insignificant cell. But when it connects with other neurons, it becomes part of something much greater: your mind. In the same way, each of us is like a neuron in the brain of humanity. Alone, we're limited. But together, we're capable of incredible things. So how do we move from ego consciousness to expanded consciousness? How do we break free from the illusion of separation and step into a higher state of awareness? The first step is to question everything. Question the beliefs you've been told about who you are, how the world works, and what's possible. Ask yourself, are these beliefs helping me grow, or are they holding me back? Because here's the truth, most of the limitations we experience are self-imposed. They're not real. For example, think about fear. Fear is one of the biggest barriers to expanded consciousness. It tells us to stay small, to play it safe, to avoid risk. But fear is just a story. It's your mind trying to protect you from the unknown. And while that might have been useful for our ancestors who faced real physical dangers, it's not so useful in a world where the greatest risks are often the ones we don't take. So the next time you feel fear holding you back, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And even if that happens, will it really matter in the grand scheme of things most of the time? The answer is no. And when you realize that, fear loses its power. The second step is to cultivate presence. Most of us spend our lives either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But the only moment that truly exists is now. When you bring your attention fully into the present moment, something incredible happens. You stop being consumed by your thoughts and emotions, and you begin to see the world and yourself more clearly. One of the best ways to practice presence is through meditation. And no, you don't have to sit cross-legged on a mountaintop to do it. Meditation is simply the act of training your mind to focus. It could be as simple as taking 5 minutes a day to sit quietly and pay attention to your breath. Over time, this simple practice can completely transform the way you experience life. The third step is to connect with others. Remember, expanded consciousness isn't just about you. It's about realizing that you're part of something bigger. And the best way to experience that is by building meaningful relationships. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone or avoid conflict. In fact, some of the most profound connections come from learning to see things from someone else's perspective, even when you disagree. When you truly listen to another person, not just with your ears, but with your heart, you begin to see the world through their eyes. And in doing so, you expand your own consciousness. Finally, the fourth step is to dream bigger. Most of us limit ourselves because we don't believe we're capable of more. But the truth is, you are. You have the power to create, to innovate, to inspire. And when you tap into that power, not just for yourself, but for the greater good, you become part of the evolutionary process. So here's the big question: what kind of world do you want to help create? What's the legacy you want to leave behind, not just for yourself, but for future generations? Because here's the thing, every thought you think, every action you take, every word you speak is shaping the future. You're not just a passenger on this journey. You're a co-creator. And the way you choose to live your life has a ripple effect that goes far beyond what you can see. The evolution of consciousness isn't something that will happen someday, in some far-off future. It's happening right now, through you, through me, through all of us. And the more we wake up to this truth, the more we can step into the incredible potential of what it means to be human. So far, we've explored the idea that humanity is just the beginning of something bigger. We've talked about how expanding our consciousness is the next step in our evolution. But now it's time to ask the ultimate question: what are we evolving into? What is humanity's greater purpose? And what role do you and I play in shaping the future, not just of humanity, but of the universe itself? Take a moment to let that sink in. We're not just talking about individual growth or even collective progress as a species. We're talking about humanity's role as creators, as architects of the future. If the universe started as a chaotic explosion of matter and energy, and if life emerged to bring order and meaning to that chaos, then perhaps our purpose is to take that process even further. Perhaps we're here to create something new, something the universe has never seen before. But what does that look like? Let's start with a simple observation: humans are builders. From the moment we first shaped tools out of stone, we've been creating things that didn't exist before. We've built cities, civilizations, technologies, and ideas that have transformed the world. And yet, for all our progress, we're still just scratching the surface of what's possible. Now, imagine this: what if we could build not just physical things, but entire systems of thought, ways of being, and connections that transcend anything we've ever known? What if we could create a future where humanity isn't just surviving, but thriving, where we're not just reacting to the universe, but actively shaping it? To do that, we need to shift our perspective. Too often we focus on short-term goals, what we can achieve in our own lifetime. But the truth is, the most profound changes take generations, even millennia. Think about it: the people who built the Great Wall of China or the pyramids of Egypt didn't live to see their work completed. They were building for the future, for something bigger than themselves. And that's exactly what we need to do. We need to think not just about what's good for us, but what's good for the generations to come. What kind of world do we want to leave behind? What kind of legacy do we want to create? But this isn't just a philosophical question. It's a practical one. Right now, humanity is facing some of the greatest challenges in its history: climate change, inequality, technological disruption, and the threat of global conflict. These problems might seem overwhelming, but they're also opportunities. Opportunities to come together, to innovate, and to create solutions that will benefit not just us, but the entire planet. So how do we do it? How do we become the architects of tomorrow? The first step is to embrace our role as creators. Too often we see ourselves as victims of circumstance, powerless to change the world around us. But the truth is, every single one of us has the power to create. Whether it's through the work we do, the relationships we build, or the ideas we share, we are constantly shaping the world. Ask yourself, what are you creating? Is it something that brings joy, understanding, or progress? Or is it something that adds to the noise, the chaos, the division? Because here's the truth: everything you create, whether it's a work of art, a conversation, or a simple act of kindness, ripples outward, affecting others in ways you can't always see. The second step is to think beyond yourself. Remember, you're not just an individual. You're part of a larger whole: humanity, the earth, the universe. And the choices you make don't just affect you, they affect everything and everyone around you. So what if we started making decisions not based on what's best for me right now, but on what's best for us in the long term? What if we started building systems, economic, political, technological, that prioritize the well-being of all life on Earth, not just the few? This might sound idealistic, but it's not impossible. In fact, we've already seen glimpses of what's possible when people come together for a greater cause. Think about the abolition of slavery, the fight for civil rights, or the global response to the COVID-19 pandemic. These weren't perfect efforts, but they showed us what humanity is capable of when we work together. The third step is to dream bigger. Far too often, we limit ourselves because we're afraid of failure or because we can't imagine what's possible. But here's the thing: the greatest achievements in history started as dreams. The idea of flying once seemed impossible. So did the idea of exploring space or connecting billions of people through the internet. So ask yourself, what's your dream? Not just for yourself, but for humanity. What's the one thing you would create if you knew you couldn't fail? And what's stopping you from starting right now? Finally, the fourth step is to recognize that the universe isn't something that happens to us. It's something we're a part of. And just as the universe created us, we have the power to create within it. Think about this: for billions of years, the universe has been evolving. From the Big Bang to the formation of galaxies, from the birth of stars to the emergence of life on Earth. And now, for the first time, the universe has created something that's capable of understanding itself, us. But understanding isn't enough. We also have the power to shape the universe. Through our actions, our choices, and our creations, we're not just observing the cosmos, we're participating in its evolution. And that's why being human is just the beginning. We are the universe's way of dreaming, of imagining what's possible, of bringing new worlds into existence. And the choices we make today will determine what kind of universe we create tomorrow. So here's the final question: what kind of future do you want to help build? Because the truth is, you're not just a passenger on this journey. You're a builder, a creator, an architect of something far greater than yourself. And while none of us will live to see the full impact of what we create, we can take comfort in knowing that we're part of a story that's bigger and more beautiful than we could ever imagine. The human being is just the beginning of something bigger, something extraordinary. And it starts with you.